Okay, let's take a look here at the third-party financing addendum form 1901. We will start here at the top, pretty straightforward. You got the street address and the city. I always put the state and zip in there, I think makes sense. So this form is used with any contract that involves financing. And this now includes an option for the hard money loan, which many people were calling cash. That is not correct, right? Cash is if the buyer themselves already have the money and can uh, show that as proof of funds, and but hard money lender is not that. So this just is added here down in G, and we'll get to that at some point. But just that is something that was new on the latest version of the third-party financing addendum. So basically what you're going to do with this addendum is you're going to, heck, as you can see, I have a lot of things filled out just for example purposes. You're obviously in almost 99.9% of the time, it's just going to be one type of loan. You're going to pick that just one box and then fill the appropriate things out. I filled a few things in just for example purposes. So to start, you're going to pick your type of financing, um, conventional, FHA, VA, Texas Vet, on here, and then you're going to fill out these particulars. Now, I really don't like this about the form. A lot of times you don't really know these particulars and they can change. So I always recommend, usually you'll know the term, but even there, someone might change to a 15-year note or different things can happen there. Interest rates can change. They may not have locked, they may have locked. But I always recommend going higher on here because I never want the expectation to be it brought back to you. Well, you said I was getting a 6% interest, and look, my interest is 7.5. I mean, and there's no way for you to determine that. You kind of have a general idea where you talk to the lender and you fill those things in. But if you're going to miss, it's better to miss high. It's just a better way to go. So you're going to pick what you know there. Obviously, this is going to be straightforward from the contract with the amount of the loan is going to be based on that what you put in page one on the contract. Um, those particulars you're going to put in there. FHA. Now this is a common question I get is, hey, what is 203B and what is 203K? So most of your loans on your single family homes are all going to be the 203B. That's your basic loan, backed by the FHA. The K is a renovation loan. You don't see a lot of those where they give you extra money to do the renovation, so fixer upper, so to speak. They are complicated loans, little, not a little, a lot harder to get through. A lot more paperwork on those, but that is what that is. When you see that difference between that 203B and 203K, the B is what you're 99.9% of the time. 203K is where you're buying a house for 200 and they're actually going to give you like 210. So you can use that 10,000 to renovate the house. VA, got that option. USDA, reverse mortgage financing. I'm not going to go into detail on all those, but you pick what's appropriate, what your buyer um, financing type is. G, I will go over a little bit here as that is the added one now that you use for hard money. So basically gives you a little bit more flexibility um, on there as far as what you're going to put in there. And it also gives you a little option there. Buyer does or does not waive all rights to terminate the contract under paragraph 2B. So that's something you can do or not do. And that goes to how strong you feel like you need your offer. And we'll talk about paragraph 2B and some other options here too. Then you're going to get down here to buyer approval and property approval. So buyer approval, you're going to have a choice here to pick a number of days. And basically, that's going to give the lender and the buyer time to tighten things up. They're going to get a lot of times get a pre-approval, which is great, but that doesn't mean that they're definitely going to be approved. And this is giving them so many days to not guarantee, but be much more secure in getting the loan. And during those 15 days, something happens. Hey, look, we didn't realize this, or I forgot to tell the lender this. Hey, we're not going to be able to get this loan approved. You'll be able to opt out. Your buyer will be able to opt out and get their earnest money back as long as it's within those 15 days. So important number. Your lender should be attuned to that. You should be attuned to that to make sure, hey, day 13, 14, hey, is everything good? We're gonna lose this out on the contract. Now you do have an option here to pick, that first box, or the contract is not subject to buyer obtaining buyer approval. Now, why would you do that, right? The main reason would be competitive offers, or you just want your offer to look stronger, and your buyer says, "Hey, I'm 100%." And the lender, maybe they've gone through other contracts and they've already been approved, and they want to make their offer more appealing to that seller. Then you're going to pick that box, and then you won't have any out for the financing addendum. Also, too, I put the 15 days in here. That's maybe a general average. I mean, it was going down sometimes 5 to 10 days during when you're in a real heavy seller's market, and I've seen them. You can go up to 30 days if you have a seller that is really looking for an offer and they're willing to accept more risk, that hey, you might back out due to financing on there. So that's the flexibility you have there on the number of days. Down here, you have the provisions for the FHA and VA as far as appraisal. Oh, you know what? I skipped right over there. Let's go back here to property approval. So this is the big paragraph as far as appraisal and other things, insurability, because this is not does not have anything to do with them being approved, but it can blow up a loan because it has to meet these requirements. So one is appraisal is a big one. Insurability is a big one. So if there is some insurance issue or roofing issue where you're not going to be able to get insurance, that's an out for the buyer, and that has to be resolved before they move forward, because any lender is going to want to be protected and know that they're going to be able to have insurance on the home, because they want to protect their investment with that buyer that they're loaning the money to. So that has a few different things and those will all get taken care of by the lender, but it's just to be aware of. And like I said, there's no date on that. So the day before closing, if insurance says, hey, this house is not insurable, then that's going to blow up the deal. It's rare, but just want to be aware of those things on there. And they can, a lot of times they can be resolved, but they are outs in the contract. So number 4 is FHA and VA, because they have separate protections for a buyer, and that's what VA and FHA, one of their main things is to protect the consumer. So a big one is, again, the appraised value. So this is always going to be the sales price in those two type loans, and the home is going to have to appraise for that. Now, can you negotiate between buyer and seller if it doesn't? Yes, but that's the proper way to fill out that form. It does also give a release here for the representative to get information if need be at the bottom, and then it's going to be signed by the buyer and seller. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of the third-party financing addendum. Like always, any questions, let me know. Thank you.